This is the PlayStation TV. It is, in my opinion, the worst home console ever made, and that includes things such as the Ouya, an Android gamebox from 2011 with no games. Literally. And this is the PlayStation Vita, one of the best handheld consoles ever made, but grossly undersupported by Sony. Ironically, both of these consoles have the same internals. So why the huge difference in opinion? PlayStation TV was good in concept. Take those Vita games and saves and play them on the big screen. Add in PlayStation 4 Remote Play, which wasn't available on every phone at the time, and PlayStation Now Cloud Gaming, and you had a powerful gamebox in a small footprint for not a lot of outlay. Mine was £60 for example, the same cost as a current generation game. But the reality was different. For example, this is my launch copy of Uncharted Golden Abyss. It works perfectly on the Vita still, but on PlayStation TV? Sorry, this system isn't meant to play those games. It's the same for Jak and Daxter, Metal Gear Solid, any Vita title really. PSP games from the PlayStation Store work, but they aren't really what you buy a Vita-centric console to play. That seems very counterintuitive. But never mind, I still have PS4 Remote Play and Cloud. Except, cloud support for PlayStation TV and Vita was discontinued before even the hardware was, and the Wi-Fi and Ethernet connections are so bad on PlayStation TV that even Remote Play struggles to run and has huge input lag, as shown by the terrible God of War Ragnarok gameplay here. But what if we had a way to make the PS TV useful and turn the Vita into one of the best handheld consoles available today? What if we could have huge and cheap storage options, our entire library on the device ready to go, homebrew and fan-made games, the entire PlayStation Portable and PlayStation 1 catalogues? What if you could emulate your other retro consoles all on this native gaming device? And maybe even pair an external controller via Bluetooth and improve the clock speed and visuals? Welcome everybody, my name is Doragon, and this is how to jailbreak any PlayStation Vita or PS TV console on the device itself in 2023. Whichever device you're going to do this on, you're going to need a few things before starting. An official Vita memory card first off. The smallest available is fine, but internal storage is required for this process. The only exception is the PS Vita 2000, which comes with onboard storage. The 1000 and TV will both require an official memory card. You're then going to need an SD to Vita adapter and a high-speed U3 micro SD card. This will allow massive storage increases via the console's game slot, where you can store all of your ripped VPK, PKG, ISO and ROM files of your owned games for use on the system later. You'll also need an internet connection, a smartphone, and a PlayStation Network account. Oh, and of course, the console that you're jailbreaking. With me so far? Good. I'd recommend using a factory-restored console, as bringing save game data over massively complicates the process. Therefore, save any important data, i.e. games and save data, to a different official memory card and keep that safe before advancing this process. Now, we get started. First, turn your factory reset console on and connect your Vita or PlayStation TV to the internet, either via Wi-Fi or the onboard 3G of the PlayStation Vita, if 3G still exists in your country, of course. Then, log into your PlayStation Network account. This will require a phone or computer with QR code reading capabilities for 2023 onwards. Once logged in, head to Settings, System, and make sure that you are on the latest firmware 3.74. If not, update to the latest system software. Once updated, head back into the settings to ensure that the update was successful. Once on the correct firmware, head to the device's web browser and load up jailbreak.psp2.dev. This will then display a yellow/gold PS Vita launch screen with a button in the middle saying Unlock My Vita. Click on that, then on Unlock. On PlayStation TV, you navigate to these buttons either with the D-pad or analog stick and use X to click. On Vita, just use the touchscreen. Your console will now display a black screen with 8-bit writing on it. This is meant to happen. Using the D-pad to navigate and X to accept, you need to select both Install Henkaku and Install Vita Deploy options. Notes below the menu will inform you of the progress once you click each option. Once they are both complete, then navigate back to the top option, which is Exit, and hit the X button. With the two new apps installed, we can start unlocking the console for broader use. Head to the console settings and select Henkaku settings once in that menu. Then select Enable Unsafe Homebrew. Head back to the home menu and open Vita Deploy. Choose Install Different OS, then Quick 3.65 Install. This prompts a message asking if you really want to downgrade. Use X to say yes, then wait while the system updates. Once complete, check the system settings as earlier to ensure the installation of the 3.65 Homebrew was successful. You're now going to set up the SD to Vita adapter for massive storage improvements. The first bit is dead easy. Put the microSD card into the adapter, then put the adapter into your console's game slot. You're then going to navigate back to Vita Deploy and head into Miscellaneous, then select Format Target Storage, and follow the on-screen prompts. If you happen to encounter this particular error message, it means that the SD2 Vita card that you have is faulty and a new one is required. Obviously, exercise consumer rights and get a replacement if it is a new card. However, for me, the faulty one is over 2 years old, so I had to buy a new one at this point. The system will freeze while formatting the SD card. This is totally normal. Just wait for a message to pop up on screen after the freeze, and if successful, it will simply say, Formatted. It is advisable to reboot your device after formatting the SD to Vita card. For the PS TV only at this point, you will need to load Vita Deploy and navigate to App Downloader. Scroll down the list and put a tick next to YAMT Installer. Then scroll back to the top of the list and select Install Selected Applications. Once complete, load up YAMT Installer and choose Install Lite Version with the X button. For all devices, once rebooted or YAMT Installer has been run, head into the Settings app and navigate to Devices and then Storage Devices, and enable YAMT with a tick box next to it. Make sure that in the same menu, UX0 shows as default and UAM0 shows as SD2 Vita. Once done, reboot your device once again at this point. Once the reboot has completed, open Vita Deploy that we downloaded earlier and navigate to File Manager. This will load as a new application. You should be greeted with a list of folders. Check the folders and ensure that UMA0 is visible. If it is, move on to the next point. If not, re-download the applications as outlined earlier. If the re-download does not work, factory reset the device and start the whole process again. Navigate to the UX0 folder using the D-pad and press X to enter. Using the square button, select everything except Cello Trash. Once all bar Cello Trash are selected, press triangle, then select Copy from the pop-up menu. Now navigate back to the UMA0 folder from earlier, using circle to go back, D-pad to navigate and X to select. Once in the UMA0 folder, press triangle to bring up the side menu and select Paste, then wait while the files are copied over. This shouldn't take long. Now, return to the Settings application and navigate to Devices, then Storage Devices. You want to change UX0 to SD2 Vita and UMA0 to Memory Card for the Vita 1000 or PlayStation TV, or Internal Storage for the Vita 2000. Now, reboot the device and head into Settings, then System Settings, and the memory card size should now reflect that of your earlier inserted microSD card. There are now some core homebrew apps to be installed to allow the full use of your newly jailbroken console. To achieve this, open Vita Deploy and navigate to App Downloader. In the vertical list, put ticks next to the following applications. VitaShell. This is a file manager as you would get on any other smart device. Vita DB Downloader. This one is an app store and home for fan or homebrew games. Adrenaline. A virtual PSP on your Vita or PlayStation TV that gives better performance of your entire catalogue of backed up PlayStation Portable and PlayStation 1 games. PKGJ. A backup library for PlayStation Vita games. Vita Save Manager. This allows you to dump or restore your save game data. Custom Themes Manager. As it says on the tin, allows you to manage custom themes for the console. ITLS Enzo. This fixes many plugin errors, adds more installer options, offers secure internet access and restores access to the official PlayStation Store. Registry Editor. Mostly for the Vita 2000 this one, it allows you to adjust colours and such to make the LCD screen look more like the 1000's OLED. Once ticks up next to all of these applications, scroll back to the top and click Install Selected Applications and let the console do its thing. Your console is now jailbroken and ready to use in far more ways than previously available. This process, however, means that your console's game cart slot is now taken up with storage, and while you can remove that storage and adjust settings to make playing those original carts possible, there are easier methods. One of the applications downloaded earlier in the process is one called PKGJ. This is a library of all Vita, PSP and PS1 games. I would personally recommend that you use this program to install backups of Vita, PSP and PS1 games that you actually own onto the device without the need of a PC or FTP connection. Vita games installed via this method will be on the home screen as you are used to from before jailbreaking, but PlayStation Portable and PlayStation 1 games will not be. To access your backups of those owned games, boot up Adrenaline, again downloaded earlier in the process. It'll ask to be updated for the first 2 or 3 times that you open it. Use X to select Update, and when it is ready, you will load into a virtual PlayStation Portable console on your Vita or PS TV. Set it up as directed on screen, and then in the game section of the memory card, you can find and play all PSP or PS1 titles that you own and have installed backups of. To exit Adrenaline and go back to the main PlayStation Vita screen at any time, press and hold the PS button on the console or controller, navigate to Settings at the top right and select Exit PSP MU Application, or press the PlayStation button and Select button simultaneously. For the PS TV at this point, head into Vita DB Downloader and find an app called Whitelist version 1.1 and click X to install. This app will allow the play of all Vita games on PlayStation TV. Once you have installed the app, run it. It will immediately close back down. Leave this up in the background and it will ensure that you can play Vita games on PlayStation TV. To use the touch features that these games think can't be done with PlayStation TV, press and hold the PlayStation button and scroll down to Use Touch Pointer in Games and put a tick next to it. This will allow left stick navigation as touch input via most Bluetooth controllers or touchpad input via the DualShock 4. I would now suggest heading into ITLS Enzo and choose the top option to install everything with the X button. This will once more reboot your device, and you're then pretty much ready to go. So other than the huge storage improvement and an easy access backup library, what does jailbreaking allow you to achieve? For the PlayStation TV, it essentially makes it actually useful and turns it into that promised device it was originally sold to you as. That same Uncharted Golden Abyss that didn't run earlier now runs perfectly, as does every other Vita game. PlayStation 4 Remote Play still works and actually feels better than on official firmware. Granted, there's still no cloud gaming, but with emulation, is that really required? Vita DB Downloader allows you to download emulation software like RetroArch or Daedalus X64, meaning you can take your dumped classic system ROMs and play them on the Vita just like Mario here in his N64 land. There are options for most classic consoles like Dreamcast, Mega Drive, SNES, even some Nintendo DS options, a competitor console of the Vita. DS isn't superb right now, but it is playable. With Adrenaline, you have the entire PSP and PS1 library compatible as well, so whichever games you own, once dumped, they will run on the Vita. What about fan-made games? They're available directly through Vita DB or can be purchased and downloaded online as PKG files and transferred to the Vita or PS TV. What about turning your Vita handheld into a PlayStation TV and having that put video out onto an external display. Why not use a DualShock 4 or any other Bluetooth controller to control that handheld console while doing that? Jailbreaking allows it all. And the best part is, it's ever advancing. The Vita jailbreak community is strong in 2023. Right now, they are working on PlayStation 5 Remote Play via an app called Chiaki, something even Sony themselves wouldn't do for the Vita, but appear to be gearing up to launch an entire handheld based around it. Yet here on Vita, it looks to be available before Sony even announced that new handheld. I have Chiaki installed on my device, but personally cannot get it to connect during this early beta phase. However, I have got the same app working on Android with less lag than the official app. Moonlight is here too, so you can remotely access your PC and play your PC games on a PS Vita or PS TV. Cyberpunk 2077 with full ray tracing on the go, anybody? Do I wish there were a bit more available? Of course. But this isn't some megacorp like Logitech, Sony, Nintendo or Microsoft making all of this possible. This is fans of the hardware wanting to breathe more life into it. Individuals taking the inspiration and creating something far better from it. Now if you want guides on things like setting up Daedalus or RetroArch, etc., let me know in the comments section below and follow the link in the description for the written version of this script. In the meantime, check out this video on playing and streaming things like Switch and Xbox on your Android phone or tablet. Otherwise, your viewership is more than enough for me, and until next time, have yourselves a fantastic day, and take care.